this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Some Republicans and others are saying that Democrats turned kind of a blind eye, that they knew what he was up to or what the allegations were.
That is absolutely positive. It's true that they may say that, but it is absolutely not true.
You had no idea?
None whatsoever. None whatsoever. I had none whatsoever.
You're listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson.
Good Tuesday morning. It is nice to have you with us on the 47 Morning Update. And breaking overnight, one of the biggest advocates for attacking Donald Trump and impeaching him, Eric Swalwell, is out of Congress after shocking misconduct accusations. The fallout is just beginning. So why did the Democrats turn on him so quickly? We explain all of it to you. It's the 47 Morning Update, and it starts right now.
Story number one.
The question every American should be asking right now is, what did the Democrats know? When did they know it? And for how long have they been covering up the abuse at the hands of Congressman Eric Swalwell? Now, multiple women, at least 4, have now come forward accusing Swalwell of sexual misconduct, including allegations of sexual assault, non-consensual contact, sending explicit messages and images, and in the most serious case, an allegation of rape involving a former staffer. One accusation involves an alleged encounter in 2024 that prosecutors are now reviewing. Swalwell has denied the most serious allegations, calling them false as he's resigned from Congress, but acknowledges mistakes in judgment, as he described it, and said his resignation was meant to avoid becoming a distraction. Now, the other part of this story that's really important to understand is why all of this and the investigations are now becoming the center point of Eric Swalwell's demise. This was done by design. Democrats knew for quite some time about what was going on behind closed doors with Eric Swalwell, and they did everything they could to protect him and make sure that none of what they're now reporting on saw the light of day. The only thing that changed was Eric Swalwell was going to ruin, they believe, their chances in the governor's mansion. Could cost them the governor's mansion in California. And that is why they decided to get rid of him now. Which brings us to all of the known investigations. This is what has been confirmed so far. Number 1, there was a House Ethics Committee investigation investigating the alleged sexual misconduct, including towards a staff member, that could have led to discipline or expulsion if he stayed in Congress, which is part of the reason why he decided to resign. Now, to be clear, the same Democrats that are saying we got to kick him out were the same ones protecting him when apparently he was sleeping with a Chinese spy. Which brings us to number 2, the Manhattan District Attorney criminal probe. That is now investigating at least one allegation of sexual assault, and it focuses on a reported 2024 incident in New York City. The question becomes obvious again. What did the Democrats know, and when did they know it? Number 3, an additional local prosecutor review in California. Yes, liberal California. The LA Times has said that authorities there are reviewing whether criminal conduct occurred in their jurisdiction. We go back to the same question. What did the Democrats know? When did they know it? And how long have they been covering it up? And then there's the 4th investigation that we know about. It involves the Department of Homeland Security, looking into claims involving a nanny allegedly working without proper authorization. Now, at least 3 separate investigative tracks are happening. That would be congressional, criminal, and federal. They're all active at the same time. Now, these aren't the only controversies that have erupted over the last week. There's now the new nanny controversy. That is separate from the misconduct allegations. It's another controversy that has absolutely exploded because Democrats are willing to destroy Eric Swalwell to protect the governor's mansion in California from going to a Republican. They knew about this for quite some time. The allegations are this, that he continued to employ her after her visa status lapsed, paying her improperly or even under the table, and using campaign funds to cover child care expenses for his own family. Now, here are the key distinctions that you need to understand. All of these claims are under investigation. They originated from a formal complaint, but that complaint was filed by a figure described in reporting as a conspiracy theorist, which raises credibility questions. I wish I was joking. I'm literally not. But the Democrats said, let's do it anyway. Federal agencies, including DHS, are reviewing the allegations, but no findings of wrongdoing have been announced yet. But the damage had already been done, and that was the whole plan of the Democratic Party. Which brings us back to the big question I mentioned at the beginning. What did the Democrats know and when? And that is where the facts matter the most. What is confirmed is this. Democratic leaders quickly called for accountability only after they saw the poll numbers showing that Eric Swalwell could be a spoiler. It is absolutely wild how the Democratic Party literally covered up for Eric Swalwell for decades because it suited their political purposes. And this new wave of sexual assault accusations against Swalwell only hit on Friday. And the Times since a number in the media and the political sphere have claimed that they knew all along that the California congressman was at best a pest and at worst involved in behavior that might be criminal. But they never went public with that information for decades as they enabled him, made him bigger, more powerful, and even covered for him when it was exposed that he was sleeping with a Chinese spy named Fang Fang. Local reporter, for example, Stephen Tavares, author of the East Bay Insider, said that he had been covering Swalwell for more than a decade, beginning when he was just a member of the Dublin City Council, and that he and others had been well aware of Swalwell's, excitement that he liked in his life for years. Quote, I've covered Eric Swalwell since he was a member of the City Council, shortly after being elected to Congress in 2013. His behavior towards women was known by all levels of our local government and the Alameda County Democratic Party, is what the reporter posted on X, adding, don't get it twisted. Nobody has been more critical of Swalwell over the years. I tried repeatedly to get those stories out. I can't force women to speak out, and when they choose not to, I didn't publish. I also knew that Swalwell was known for threatening litigation. But as critics are pointing out, and I'm one of them, knowing information like that and not reporting it could put young women on his staff and around him at risk. Radio host Dana Lash summed it up this way, saying, quote, and at no time did you think, gee, maybe I should report about this? She's absolutely right. You're giving yourself a lot of undeserved credit with the words covered when you knew this information for at least 13 years before Swalwell was in Congress and never reported it, is what another conservative commentator said about the local man that claimed I've been covering him for years and I wanted to report it, but I just couldn't. And it wasn't just, by the way, local journalists who said they had known for a long time that they had dirt on Swalwell. Swalwell's situation was, shall we say, quote, widely rumored. And it's interesting that the gossip doesn't seem to have made its way all the way to the big shots out west, is what a Bloomberg columnist wrote this morning. Progressive activists and commentators also are among those claiming to have known years earlier that Swalwell's behavior was problematic. One of them saying this, okay, just to show how insane this is, I was aggressively hit on 2 separate times by Eric Swalwell. One after a DNC meeting at the hotel in front of a ton of notable folks, and one in my DMs. I don't think he remembered me from the first time when he hit me up in DMs, is what the liberal influencer posted on Saturday. I showed disinterest and, like many others, heard stories, which makes me wonder why House leadership, who most certainly knew, continued to protect a member without looking into it. The liberal commentator continued. and how pathological of him to pressure and allegedly SA subordinates and think he was protected, ? I hope the New York AG's office investigates thoroughly and it sends a message to other people in power who sexually abuse and harass to stop and get out of politics, and for other survivors to know they have a voice and power. Now, this goes back to the core question. How many years or even decades did Democrats know what he was doing, and they did everything in their power to make it disappear? That is the question that everyone needs to be asking right now. Swalwell is done, but not because he did anything wrong, but because the Democratic Party was worried they could lose the governor's mansion in California. That is the only reason why any of this is coming out right now. And so if you think the Democrats are doing the right thing, you're wrong. Thank goodness they've gotten rid of him. Whether it was for the right or wrong reason, at least now he's been exposed for exactly who he is.
Thank you for listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson. Please make sure you hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. And for more in-depth news, also subscribe to the Ben Ferguson podcast, and we will see you back here tomorrow.